Welcome into the I-80 Boys College Football. Chris, we've got the border war on tap for everybody today. I'm excited to hear about the basketball school, otherwise known as the Kansas Jayhawks, playing some football this year. Tell me a little bit about Kansas, Chris.
Yeah, 2-0. They've looked really impressive in their first two wins. They beat, they destroyed Fresno State week 0, and then they beat something called Wagner last week, 46-7. Right now, nobody's hotter in the country, in my opinion, than Jalen Daniels, dude. This guy is playing lights out. He's almost played about as perfect gets, if you can call it that. If I had to hand out a Heisman, which obviously is way too soon, he'd be my front runner right now. He has looked really, really good. Now I know everybody's saying, yeah, he hasn't played anybody. He's going to get a test here against Mizzou. You'll talk about them more here in a minute. He is 36 of 45 on the year. Christian, 456 yards, 80% completion percentage, 7 touchdowns, 1 interception. Also has 65 yards on the ground on 11 carries. Another guy I'm really impressed with, and this guy will mow you over, by the way, is this Hishaw kid, Daniel Hishaw. I think that's how you pronounce his name. Jesus, man, this guy lays people out on blocks and stuff. You'd like him. He's a bigger guy, dude. I'm not saying you're big, Christian, but he's a pretty damn good back. He's got 160 yards on the season so far. Emmanuel Henderson, Cam Pickett, they're the two go-to wide receivers on the outside. They both got 5 touchdowns apiece between the two. Like I said, it's really hard to gauge early in the season like this, especially when some of these bigger group of 4 teams are playing some of these FCS schools, a group of 5 schools. It's hard to tell, but like I said, I've been very impressed so far with Kansas. They've done what they've needed to do. Lance Leopold, who I think is a very good coach, has done great things so far at Kansas. If you guys remember, Kansas last year got red hot at the end of the year. They started off horribly. The other big piece of this, too, is can Daniel stay healthy, Christian? This is like his 6th year. We know he's gotten injured a lot. If he's on the field, man, they're a pretty damn good team, especially offensively. Defensively, real quickly here, he's only given up a touchdown in both games, rightfully so. Linebacker and leading tackler, Trey Lathan. He's a stud. We've heard that name thrown around quite a bit. They got 6 sacks on the season to go along with 3 forced turnovers as well. So, like I said, so far so good for Kansas. I'm interested to hear what you got to say about the Tigers.
Yeah, Chris, I mean, look, Missouri has found the heir apparent, I think, to Brady Cook at this point. Bo Pribula has arrived. I mean, this guy went out and put up 350 total yards, 4 total touchdowns, a couple really long runs. I mean, the kid was pretty athletic. You got a chance to see that. Now, they beat the living daylights out of something called Central Arkansas. So what do you take from that when they actually play somebody with a pulse on the other side in Kansas? Who knows? We will see. Running back Ahmad Hardy had 100 yards and a touchdown, so that's pretty good. That's the thing. When you think of Missouri, you think, oh, they lost all that talent last year, Luther Burden, Brady Cook, some of their guys. They just are reloading on both sides of the ball. All that to say, look, Kansas isn't a slouch on the other side either. They only gave up 143 total yards to Wagner, and like you said, have held each team they've played to a touchdown on the defensive side of the ball. I do think Kansas does a good job at stopping the run. So if you're Missouri, you're going to have to be able to throw the rock a little bit in this one if you're going to want to win. But remember, like we said, hey, Bo Pribula, he can run. So I want to see him, if they start taking away that run game, start clamping down on back there in the secondary. Let's see him take off, make some things happen, go win them this game. On the defensive side of the ball, look, good luck trying to stop, Jalen Daniels. I mean, the guy right now I think is a dark horse Heisman contender, and if he keeps playing the way he is, he might just win it and win himself a job on Sundays going into next year. Daniels in this offense, the thing Mizzou has to do is focus on stopping, you said it, Daniel Hishaw, and limit, I think, Jalen Daniels' ability to scramble there. I know, obviously, he hasn't had to do it a lot. He's been able to sit back and throw it, had 7 passing touchdowns to only 1 interception, Jalen Daniels does. So if you're Missouri in this defense, I'm going to need him to kind of get back there. Don't let him get out of the pocket on you, and force them to run the football. Don't let them throw the ball, because that's kind of what they want to do. Okay. Damon Wilson had 2 sacks last week, and this should be a guy that I think will play pretty well for him on the defensive side of the ball, right next to Jeremiah Trotter. Some of the storylines out of this, Chris. Do you think Kansas deserves to be a top 25 team
right now?
Mm-hmm.
That's a tough one. I'm gonna say yes right now, just because they've gone out and did what they needed to do. I mean, as far as the preseason stuff went, they were rated, I think, to finish, and that's I want to say the top half of the Big 12. Again, this is the Big 12 we're talking about on their side here. There's always 4, 5, 6 really good teams or average teams at the end of the year there. I do, though, Christian. I think just with the way Daniels has played, I think he's elevated them enough. The way they've went out and destroyed everybody the first 2 games. Yeah, I do. I know some people will argue with that.
Absolutely. Best team in the state of Kansas right now, Chris?
100%. I'm done with K-State, dude. They're dog shit.
I agree with you, by the way. I think the way Kansas has played, when this Daniels kid's healthy, man, they just take care of it. Also, what about Missouri and Eli Drinkowitz? They're reloading. Now, they could make some noise. Again, it's one game. They played Central Arkansas. We said it last year against Tennessee when they played the School for the Blind and put up 1 million points. And then they started playing people and got smacked around, by Ohio State to end the year off and Georgia and some of those guys. But it'll be interesting to see. And sometimes it's kind of hard, I feel like, when we go into these matchups because you want to say, well, they beat that team by this much and that team by this much. And you don't really know until we get into it. So it'll be good to see how they shake out. Chris, kind of give me your predictions for the game here.
Yeah, so you remember back in the day, 5-10 years ago, the Big 12 was just, every game was 55-50. I normally am very conservative, especially if you follow this channel, on the score predictions. Usually you're the one that, bumps up the number a little bit. I feel like this is going to be one of these shootout type of games for some odd reason. Both quarterbacks, both can scramble, both can make plays. And I'm not taking anything away from either defense here. I'm going with the road favorite here, Kansas, 42-38 in a shootout. Christian.
Chris, we're on different ends of the spectrum here, buddy. Of course, that's not the only spectrum I think we've been on here lately, but give me Kansas 28, give me Mizzou 31. I just think, look, man, I think Mizzou is going to have to win it close in this one. I think it'll be a tight game. I think it'll be boring as shit. You'll get lulled into betting the under after the first half, and then they're going to come out and let it fly in that second half.
God, man, me and you definitely on opposite ends here once. Finally, we don't agree on something. Yeah, I'm with you, though. Either way, this should be a really good game, right? Considering the fact that there's not a ton of marquee matchups in week 2, especially coming from last week where there was, I swear, 12 top 25 games, essentially. But, yeah, this will be a fun game if you're a college football fan. Honestly, if you're a casual, yes, you watch the Texas, Ohio State, LSU, Clemson type stuff. But you're somebody like us, man, who really digs into college football, man, this will be a fun game to watch.